November may have been the hardest month of the year, but I totally forgot to mention in my October recap that Justin Castillo had me on his panel for LAComicCon called Building a Nerd Empire on the second weekend of October. I was really excited to be on it, really grateful that he had asked me to be on it, and at the same time it felt super surreal to be at Comic-Con for the first time because I had never been, and in the first 10 minutes I ran into my brother Roy Poblete, and it was really cool to see him because I hadn't seen him in probably a year or more. So it was cool to see a familiar face. And then walking around, I saw Drake Bell and was like, yo, I need to say hi to Drake Bell from Drake and Josh. I grew up, watching his shows, and I just thought, well, yeah, of course I got to introduce myself to this guy. And it was really cool to see that he was actually as nice of a guy as I had expected him to be from the show. So that was really cool. The panel itself ended up going really well. I was inspired by pretty much everyone that I was up there with, and I also felt really out of place because I was the youngest one up there by quite a bit, but I just tried to tell my story as best I could, hitting the important points and hoping that was what people wanted to hear. And I had a couple people come up to me afterwards and say really kind things about my experience and what I had to say. So that was really cool too. You should definitely check out those other people because they're also incredible individuals and you'll find it in the description as always. I managed to collect all of my stuff from the people that I had left my things with, and I definitely feel more at home here in Whittier now, moved into this place. But my car did break down, which meant that I've been taking the bus and Uber to and from work, and that has been a whole host of other issues. The main problem is for the morning I have to be there by 5:45 a.m. and there are no buses that run early enough to get me there by then because it's about 3 hours and 10 minutes from Santa Monica or Century City to Whittier, and it's just not possible to do that in the morning, so I have to take an Uber. But that's about a $45 Uber, and that's also not sustainable. So I've been taking an hour Uber into work and then a 3-hour bus ride back, which comes to about $50 or more just in travel expenses. And 4 hours on top of a 6 to 7 hour shift. That means I'm doing basically a 10-hour day for less than it costs me to get there and back. So it really isn't sustainable, unfortunately. With things as they are, that means I would be set up to lose money every month, because if you count travel expenses, rent, food, medical insurance, there's not enough. And without a car, I can't really be doing film work on set. I can only be editing and that sort of stuff because, going in for an audition there and back, that would be, probably about a $80 or 6 hours round trip for a 10-minute audition. So really makes film work difficult without a car as well. My health insurance also cut out, even though I was told that it would last through the year. That was from my previous job at the film production company. Not sure what happened there. But I have no medical insurance anymore as of late October. So another issue that isn't helped by not having a car. Unfortunately, this meant that I was unable to go to an appointment that I had been looking forward to with a neurologist for a couple of months, and apparently now am $400 in medical debt because of that as well. So a lot of things just happened all at once. This led me to the decision that I have to leave Gloveworks. It's my favorite job that I've ever had, but the way things are going, I wouldn't have anything left if I kept working there as things are. If I had a car, if I lived closer, if things were different, I would have loved to have kept working there, but unfortunately it's just not possible. So thank you to everything that you guys have done for me, and for making me feel like I was a part of it. And hopefully I can come back soon. I'm going to need to find work that I can I'll either walk to or get to quickly and easily, so that I can start saving up for a new car. And then hopefully I can come back once I've found a place that's closer to either of the two LA gyms. To add insult to injury, unfortunately, on December 1st, my auto-paying phone bill didn't re-up the way it usually does. And so I was left in an unfortunate predicament on what was supposed to be my last shift at GloveWorks. That meant I had no way to call an Uber, had no ability to be checking the bus schedule so I didn't get lost somewhere on the way to work, and meant I didn't have a way to contact my employers and let them know what was going on. I tried reaching out through email, but I guess my GloveWorks email was deactivated sometime that day because it was my last shift. So I don't even know if they received the email. So I walked over to AT&T and got it taken care of, but AT&T is not close by, so my shift was already over by the time it was done. And I just really felt terrible about the way that whole situation went down. You know, I had been wanting to go in to say goodbye to people and then ended up just, I guess, disappearing for some people. I don't know. I feel really bad about what happened, and I wish that there had been something I could have done to change that. But at this point, I just, I hope that I can get back there at some point. The Butcher has been doing incredibly well at festivals. It has won Best Feature at a couple of festivals. Michael Moutsatsos has won Best Actor a couple times, and we've gotten nominated for all sorts of stuff. I'll put a list up so you can see what that looks like. It's honestly pretty incredible. I've never worked in a position that big on a set that has managed to do this well. To be honest, I don't think I'd ever been anything above like a key grip on an award-winning film before this, or small acting role. But to be the director of photography of a feature that's doing this well is something that I'm really proud of, and I'm forever grateful to Michael Moutsatsos for hiring me for it. And I'm glad the hard work is paying off for everyone involved, especially Michael Moutsatsos, because he really deserves this. He put a lot into it, and I'm glad to see that it's working out for him. Now, I had been a camera operator for feature film before, but I'd never been the director of photography for a feature film before, and we used entirely Michael's equipment. So I had to learn a couple new things, but I'm glad that the product was able to be used the way that it has been, and that the response has been so positive. We even had a screening at Shockfest in Las Vegas. I really wish I could have gone to it. It sounds like it was an amazing time, but there's no way that I could afford to go, and also without a car, I don't know how I would have gotten there anyway. Dropouts is being edited by 2 different editors right now. One for a longer form pilot episode, and one for shorter web series episodes, webisodes. I haven't seen the pilot yet, but the first few smaller episodes are really looking great, so I'm excited to see how that continues to progress as well. I'm going to take a moment to talk about something that I usually keep private, but I feel like deserves a mention, since these are recaps of, I guess, my life as well as my career. Something really big happened on Thanksgiving this year. I don't usually like to discuss my family, but on Thanksgiving, my grandfather texted me and told me that my mother had fallen, had broken a rib and injured her neck, and had gone in for 2 surgeries to try to reverse the damage or better things in some way. This was the first I'd heard that she had had an accident. For those of you that don't know, my mother and I haven't really spoken in about 5 years. I won't get into that now. But a year previously, I had gone to see my grandfather in the hospital on Thanksgiving because they were worried that he might not survive the night. He had had complications. So it was all the more ironic that he was the one that texted me to tell me a year from the day that this had happened. My father and I had encouraged my mom to get sober for, about 2 decades at that point. She relapsed around the time I was 6. And I never thought this would happen, even after seeing everything that I have. She ended up paralyzed on the left half of her body, which is ironic because that's something that commonly happens after a stroke, but it didn't happen to me. And I realized that it's really hard to hate someone even if they've done terrible things in your life, if they're paralyzed. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know what to do about it. Well, that's it for this month. It was one of the harder months of 2019, that's for sure. But see you next month.